I'm not very good at memorizing things sometimes, although I love history, but I have to think about it and talk about it.
I know it.
This is Aaron Rasmussen, and I got Allan Royce here. And Allan, so tell me, where were you born?
I was born in Palo Alto. We lived down in Redwood City for about 4 years and then moved back up to Tuolumne County. My mother was raised in Tuolumne City, and my dad, I'm not sure where he was raised. He ended up in San Jose. His father, my grandpa, cut timber for Westside in the 30s and 40s. And
what was his name?
His name was Allan Royce.
Allan Royce.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my dad, before he decided to get a trade, actually fed logs into the steam donkey to load the trains. So he did that for a couple of years as right out of high school, and he figured this isn't for me.
Oh yeah.
So he became a butcher. They had a store at Mountain Market right on Sullivan Creek where Mother Lode Motors is. That's where I was raised. So that was pretty cool.
So you've been around the mill all the time. You were just saying you showed me a picture of somebody you got to ride on the log deck.
Uncle Clem.
Uncle Clem.
He was one of the first Jippo loggers for Westside. Before that, everything was done by the mill itself. It was all company. But him, my uncle, George Joyce, and Eddie McDowell bought 3 old GI log trucks, and they hauled the logs into Westside with those old trucks.
Oh yeah, we don't have it on the back here.
No, that's a copy. The picture I got from Uncle Clem is one of those little tiny postage stamps.
Can you write it down on there?
Sure. What are we looking? Okay. In fact, one of these trucks that Clem owned is at Cover's yard right now. One of the old GI trucks.
Is it in that lineup that they have?
By Earl Hitch's
Yeah, by
truck?
Earl. I saw it.
Yeah.
He got his on the end right there.
And I'm going to think this is around. I rode in that truck when I was about 6, so that would have been 1956. So this picture probably around 1948 to 50. So I'll just put that 48 to 50. I'm not sure exactly when Westside started letting Jippos do logging for them, because prior to that it was all railroad.
Then you said you had another picture here.
Yeah, that's my grandfather, Allan Royce. He cut timber.
Looks like a chop in there.
Yeah. Well, they got a crosscut saw. The undercut's already chopped in. They've got a crosscut saw falling that, but he did falling for Westside right away, ahead of where the railroad was going. And Al Hobby's son was my sports coach in high school. I can't remember what his first name was, but anyhow, Mr. Hobby was a coach at Sonora High when I went there. So, Alec, and then Al Hobby. And this is probably in the 30s, this picture. Again, like I say, it was a little tiny picture that they had developed.
And we were just talking before we started, also about like those quiet years of the Jubilee.
Mm-hmm.
Like it came back after the mill shut down, but then about, I want to say 72, 73, somewhere in there it stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't pick back up until either 1980 or 1883.
Right.
And you said one of those years, or a few of those years, were up at Long Barn.
I think we did it 4 or 5 years up there. I can't really remember, but
so the Tuolumne Lumber Jubilee itself was quiet, but it was actually happening up the hill.
we had a Jubilee in Tuolumne County in Long Barn, correct. It was nothing like Tuolumne.
Yeah.
But I grew up loving Tuolumne Lumber Jubilee. As a little kid, the fair was going on. All these lumberjacks, my uncles, they were like heroes to all of us. And when I first started going to the Jubilees, they were in the baseball field where Talbert's Market is now. Well, I don't know who owns it, but it used to be Bill Talbert.
You call it Bill Talbert's Market. It's John's Market.
Okay, yeah.
That's I've heard that in Talbert.
Bill Talbert was the announcer for all of the Jubilees.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was he just like, did he have a character?
Oh, he was great. He was great. He kept the crowd going. He kept the applause coming in. Yeah, he was really a good announcer.
Kind of how we got, Bojo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does he remind you of that? Or do you-
Absolutely,
Oh,
yeah. He was very humorous. He just really related to everybody, and he knew all the lumberjacks because he had the grocery store in town. It became a hardware store. I don't know what's in it now, but that big white building just below Speakers toward the park on the right-hand side.
warehouse,
Yeah, that was Bill Talbert's grocery store when I was a kid.
Oh, okay. That was the grocery store.
Yeah, uh-huh. His son Tracy Talbert had a hardware store in that building, I think in the 70s.
So Somerville, where the Johns Market was, that was Somerville's high school football field.
Yes, baseball and football.
Yeah.
And they had all these beautiful wooden bleachers built between the field and the highway, the road.
Yeah.
So everyone was in the shade, all the spectators were in the shade. That was a cool place. It really was. And everybody, it was like homecoming week. Everybody in town and the surrounding areas, people that worked in the woods, worked in the mill, everyone showed up for the Lumber Jubilee.
You obviously know Terry Northcutt.
I sure do.
So he was running those quiet years, those late 70s, also up there with the login shows. Do you think?
He was around for sure. They lived up in Cold Springs, and that's about the time he was just getting into logging.
Okay.
In fact, he climbed a tree for me. We were in Pinecrest, and we left a big widowmaker in a tree that I had fallen, and we're in town trying to shoot it out with shotguns. Obviously, the Forest Service showed up. They said, "You can't be shooting around all these cabins." So Terry came, and I forget, he charged me something just real cheap. He said, "I can do it." And he was just right out of high school. I thought, I probably shouldn't let him do it. What if he gets killed? He did a fantastic job. He went right up there, got the limb, and that's the first we got.
You don't see him too often anymore?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
He's got that. He's got his business up at Swainhart, but it's Timberline. I forgot. He's gonna get mad at me because I forgot his name, but it's still Timberline.
Mm-hmm.
But he's now doing ordnance instead of, so he's not doing the wood anymore.
Yeah. I talked to him probably 20 years ago, and he was just getting into that or doing it at that time, looking for unexploded munitions in some of these. Yeah.
Just clean up.
Yeah.
And disposal.
That turned out to be great for him.
I don't know how. I know he had to get a new shop like a year or two ago, so I'm not sure where he's at on that. If he still has it. But yeah, what about these other pictures we were talking about earlier?
Okay.
You got.
Those are just some old Lumber Jubilee pictures.
You know about what years these guys are?
Well, in the 70s.
So that would have been the early 70s, though. Right?
Very early.
Yeah.
I graduated in 68. I think that's probably 68 because I was chopping then.
I'm gonna go run a few carries really quick. I gotta go drop off a couple things. I'll be right back.
Okay.
For like 20 minutes.
68.
68 or 69 one. My Uncle Clem took those.
So they're throwing building.
The Loggers Club is one of those buildings.
Yeah, so they're like they're on the east side of the park.
Right.
And the bandstand's right back here where they're throwing.
Correct.
Houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always wondering about how they set them up back then.
And this is tug of war cleats here, so that would be looking the opposite direction toward the Memorial Hall, probably, or maybe the baseball field, looking in that direction. Do you think?
No, I think that the warehouse is right back here.
Okay.
I'm thinking that might be the phone company.
It could be. That could be a different year even. The way these tug of war cleats are set up. I was thinking that picture was taken from the other side looking this way.
Unless this is the west side, and I'm trying to look at this might be the west side of the park, because that could be the old west side building back there in the background, and that's the corner of Bay and Main.
It could be, yeah.
Or it's Bay and Pine. It's hard.
It could be a totally different year too, because I don't see that log in this picture. So that might be another year, 69, 70. Man, how did I get this old?
That's a big block under there. That's not no regular railroad tie either.
No, it's not. They were up in the air. They were like chair heights. the way they set them up in those days. And that's,
Oh, there's some more of these other
Chopping.
photos, man. This crazy looking photos.
yeah,
The pond in the background and the
the
and the
burner.
burner in the background. That's just awesome. But this was probably in the '60s. It's hard to. It's crazy that photo looks better than this photo.
Yeah. This was in the 70s.
Late '70s.
Yes, no, early
Yeah,
70s.
early '70s.
Yeah, I'd say 72 or 3, right before they shut down. Because they had a falling contest one year, and it was in this area. They had 5 poles they put in the ground. And there were 5 fallers that got in that. So that's probably real close to when they discontinued the Jubilee in Tuolumne. I'd say 72 or 3.
Wow.
And you know, Aaron, I grew up loving the Jubilee, like I told you. So when they discontinued it the first year, we kind of just wondered, is it going to come back? And then the
Yeah.
second year, I started talking to some people and we put it on up in Longbourn. I think 4 or 5 years, if I remember correctly. And then the Tuolumne City Progressive Club took it over and got it going back down in Tuolumne again.
Where do you think these are? Is this? Well, obviously I know that one's in the park. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
an odd one.
Okay, that's out in the mill yard again.
Yeah, it's out in the
Mhm.
yard.
Mm-hmm. This building's in town. That's a memorial hall. This is out in. This could be where the baseball field is now and the horseshoe pits. What do you think?
I'm not sure.
By looking at where the memorial hall is,
I don't see the memorial hall. It looks like a truck.
the big white building.
Yeah, it looks like I think it's a truck.
Really?
Yeah. That might be in front of the pond.
It could be.
Once I scan it, I might be able to zoom in on it a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to tell.
And then you got that one.
Look at the backdrop for the
Yeah.
axe target. Yeah, and that is in the park for sure. I wanted to show you these also. This tree that my grandfather's falling ended up on that train.
Oh wow.
1 tree load on the old flat cars for West Side.
True, yeah.
And this was at camp, I'm thinking Clem said this was Camp 21, the cookhouse, and they had that old jitney they ran around in. And he bought this World War II vehicle and made a loader out of it to load his logs, that GI truck. It loaded these logs.
This guy will pull up and off.
Yeah. Like I say, I expanded all of these on my
So
printers.
you said Camp 21, bro. Were you actually at some of these camps?
No, this was before I was born.
Well, where'd you get the Camp 21 from? Is it just from other
I
pictures?
think what Clem told me, there are other pictures of Camp 21, but that was quite early in West Side's logging history. Isn't that cool though, that picture?
Yeah. It says Buffalo Side 1938.
Okay,
40.
Buffalo's where they transferred from the Woods engines to the town trains. So they had these superheater locomotives, the 8 and the 10 and the 12, which ran into town. And then the other engines, the 7 and I forget the other 2 locomotives up there in Camp 45. I was there when I was 5 years old in Camp 45, and they were loading trains. In fact, Bert Bergstrom was the engineer on the 7, the same engine that's in Roaring Camp in Felton now. He was the engineer on the 7, and they had just made a train, and one of the other locomotives was taking it toward that landing we just talked about. It was
21.
no, the
45.
Buffalo,
Buffalo.
the exchange. It took off toward Buffalo, and my mother grew up next door to Bert Bergstrom from a little girl, so he knew her, and she had brought me out to Camp 45 with my aunt Liz Spinetto and Sully Sullivan and his wife. It was kind of a picnic and stuff, just going out to the woods to see some of the people, some of the family. Anyhow,
I think Spinetto is one of our queens.
Oh, yes, yes. Dave's daughter was one of the queens. Yeah, Dave's been out on my cousin. His dad was a brakeman on the 8 spot. But anyhow, that day, Bert yelled out the engineer's window. He said, "Becky, bring him over here." So she brought me over, 5-year-old kid with no shoes on, and he got me a cab ride in that locomotive. My feet were burning like heck, but they put me. He put me up on the sandbox right in front of the tender, and that was so cool, getting to ride in a locomotive at 5 years old.
Heck yeah.
So
My my biggest claim to fame is, when my grandpa would come through town in Tuolumne, I would just go jump on his logging truck and head out there with him. Yeah.
Yeah, this old GI truck, the window would open up, the front windshield would open up, and then you tighten it down. That was the only way you could get some air, because these things went about the speed that a man could walk coming up out of the river.
Yeah.
And they used to give some kids rides from the river campground by the fish hatchery. They'd give us rides up into the mill pond and then bring us back down when they were headed to the woods. Well, George Joyce had a young kid in his truck, and he went to close the window when they got to the top, and the kid had his fingers up there, cut him pretty badly, so that was the end of the kids' rides. But it was so cool, Aaron, to go into the West Side Mill, to the pond, and hook up to that winch, and have those big logs be dumped into the mill pond, the big splash. You know how a kid would love something like that?
Oh, yeah.
No OSHA anywhere, no hard hats, no rules. The only thing, we had to stay in the truck.
Yeah.
Couldn't get out of the log truck.
That was basically what I did. Grandpa's out there running around, and I'm just watching out the windows.
Yeah.
Watching get loaded and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. And I was when I got out when I was 18, 19. I was still in the service, but I was on reserve status. I'd come back, and my dad actually took me out on a few log trucks. I got to drive because I got my Class A when I was in the Army, but I didn't. The Class A's in the Army, those old military trucks were only like 5 speeds with a split.
Yeah.
So it was super easy.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a hang. I really couldn't get a hang of those 14, 16 speeds.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a normal clutch. You just have to like get it in and out with the RPMs.
Right.
It's not so much clutching.
But they were so much easier than the old GI rigs. Those were, if you didn't find the hole, it didn't go in.
Yeah.
Double clutching and everything. And now they've got automatics in these trucks.
Oh yeah.
It's just, you don't have to be a truck driver anymore.
No. I mean, even when I was driving with my dad, and this was only like, 20 years ago, we were still getting out checking the brakes and adjusting the brakes.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I did that every trip on my log truck. Just hit it with a ball-peen hammer, make sure it got good sound.
Yeah, you had a sound for how far away you had.
When they were set, if it was dull, your brakes are set.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hit the tires too and make sure
if it's ringing too much, you gotta tighten them down.
Yeah, but it was real easy, Just on the newer trucks, it was easy. Those old trucks, I don't think anything was easy on them.
No.
Just
some of them I heard had water
This had water.
And
They
the brakes.
They would stop at the West Side water tanks if they could get close enough with the tracks. Like Camp 8 had one, that's where Clem would fill his. And it did, it dropped the water on those brake drums all the way down the hill. Then he'd shut it off to go up the hill. Water-cooled brakes.
Water-cooled brakes, jeez.
That's before Westinghouse came along with the air. What a difference. When you think about West Side, what those people accomplished in 1890 to 1910, just amazing things they did with manpower and rigging, pulleys, and it's just amazing what those men did back then. And you think of Paul Bunyan being the lumberjack, you never see a big logger in all these old pictures. They were just little wiry, tough guys.
Yeah.
That's what it took.
So you were with my Uncle Greg. When did you meet my Uncle Greg?
I'm going to say 1985 probably. 84, 85. I first got married and had a falling job for Danny Conlon. And Greg called me up looking for work. And I said, well, I can certainly use a falling partner. And that's how we met. That's how we got started. He was a big boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I always thought he was a little bit smaller.
No, he was stocky. He was taller than me, He was built heavier than me, and he worked all day.
Well, did you know my stepdad Jim Rasmussen? That was his brother. Did you ever meet him?
No, I never did.
Because I always thought Jim was bigger than Gray. Because Jim was about 6'2", probably about 230, 240 most of the time.
Greg was right around 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I honestly, I have no memory of actually like seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
My first memory was just being at his house after the accident. Honestly.
Now, when he was killed, did he have just one daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
Christina,
Okay.
and she wasn't even born yet, I don't think.
I remember his wife being pregnant
Yeah.
about the time we split up.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a log truck and I was going to do things on my own, so we couldn't be partners anymore. And he stayed on with Danny Conlon, at least that first year. Then we kind of lost contact until that horrible day.
Yeah, November 1st, I believe, 1986
Okay.
is when I remember it.
So we must have started 84 then, because we worked 2 years together.
Yeah.
And he loved motocross.
Mm-hmm.
That was his passion. He just loved riding those dirt bikes.
Was that the only like major accident you remember of your career? You had other accidents, other guys that passed away.
During the burn, there were a lot of people that came up with little mini Mac chainsaws trying to make money. One guy
You
from
said during the burn.
after the Granite Creek burn, these guys were, and the Forest Service was hiring anybody that had a chainsaw.
Mm.
I was coming out of the woods one time, and Bill Hessman, he owned a logging company, flagged me down. He drove a Jeep around. You couldn't miss Bill Hessman. And he flagged me down, and he said, he said, "You got your saw?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Follow me, I need some help." So we followed him out. He said, "Grab your saw." He didn't say anything. He wasn't talkative, and he usually always was. So we followed him up to this strip, and there's a dead tree. All these trees were dead from the burn. Dead tree laying right on top of a man, dead.
Oh gosh.
Flies were there. I had to cut that tree off of this poor man. I don't know what his name was or anything, but I'll never forget that.
Mm.
There were a lot of accidents after that burn. All the timber was dead. You couldn't pull it, like you would want to a green tree. My second year in the woods, I rolled a bulldozer 3.5 times down a mountain, going over exposed granite. But every skid, I had logs behind me, so it worked good. We got all that logged out, and I was going over the hill with nothing behind me, and immediately turned sideways and started rolling. And I just bounced around in the cab. There were no, well, there might have been seat belts, but I didn't see them.
Was this in the 70s?
71.
Wow.
71. And
And you were able to keep going after that.
yeah, bounced around, and I fell out, and I look above me. This was out at Rock Creek, real steep country out there behind Long Barn. And I look above me, and the cat's going, both tracks are going. It's running great, and I thought, that sucker's going to come down on me any second. So I made it about probably 150 feet down to the Hall Road, and then I was safe. But as soon as I got there, I couldn't move anything.
Oh,
Just
man.
the adrenaline, got me out of that dangerous spot. I'll never forget that. And then I was working for Tom Howard. Joe Fulkerson was the loader operator. So they put me in Tom's pickup, and Tom would drive about 100 yards, not even 100 yards, maybe 50 yards, and he'd have to stop the truck, get out, and move my leg a little bit because the pain was so bad. So we kept going maybe 50 yards at a time. That was about the time when guys started getting CB radios in all the trucks, and he was able to radio out to Flo, little restaurant in Sierra Village. She had a big tower, and she got a hold of Jack Morrison, who had an ambulance service up in Cold Springs, and he came out and got me. And I kept yelling for him to stop and move me. He just went fast as that thing would go on that old dirt road. He didn't listen to me at all. He wanted to get me down the hill.
You get mad at me later. I gotta get you.
Oh yeah, he'd go around. He was neat. He was a neat old guy, but he'd go around some of those turns on 2 wheels. He just loved driving an ambulance. He had his siren and lights on in the woods road, out in the woods.
Yeah.
30 miles back we were. But yeah, there are quite a few people. That's bad. you know, when you lose people that you know, but it's
Yeah.
part of the job. It's the highest, state comp insurance, higher than metal workers, steel workers even. Yeah, I think when we logged, it was 29%. Every $100 we paid, we had to pay 29 to insure the men. So,
Wow.
and that reflects on the danger of that occupation.
How
So,
old were you in 71, 72?
well, I was born in 50, so I was 21.
Well, you didn't get married until your 30s?
Which time?
Yeah, okay. Because you said you got married in 84 or 85.
I got married right out of high school, first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 1984 is when I got sober and got married.
Yeah, started over again.
Yeah, so that one
Me
kind
too.
of lasted.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was having fun all those drunk years.
You don't drink no more now?
No.
Yeah.
You look back at it, and we did have a lot of fun, but my gosh, you do crazy things.
Yeah. I was worried about my brother there for a while because he was cutting on the coast a few years back, and
Mm-hmm.
he was telling me they're, out going to work, just kind of like partying all night, and it's
Mhm.
like, dude, you need to be resting. The work you're doing, you just want to. I'm glad he got out of that.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's somewhere else.
There was a big sugar pine in Pinecrest. The townspeople named it Big Red.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. Oh, Big Red.
I fell that tree at 10 in the morning completely drunk. And they had the grammar school was all there, all kinds of people. People all over.
You fell Big Red.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
I did.
Because they got a piece of Big Red down at Conway College.
Yeah, at the college, and there's also one in the Happy Cookie, it used to be a restaurant in Cold Springs. They built that building around the round. That round was over 7 feet, and it was 60-something feet from the stump where it had broken.
Yeah.
60
Where
or
it
80
broke?
feet. Yeah, I think it broke at 80 feet. And it was the limbs that broke it. We had a beautiful lay for that tree, but the limbs were so huge.
Yeah.
That's what broke it.
Um,
They had 2 news crews up there, 2 radio stations, and just all kinds of people. And here I am, drunker than heck, falling a big tree.
Oh, yeah. Also,
were you the most sober out of the bunch, or did you know you were really gonna be the one falling it?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
we went to Strawberry Store and bought a couple bottles of Canadian whiskey. We were gonna christen that tree with Canadian whiskey.
Whiskey never made it.
Never made it to the tree.
here.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Dave Martin
No,
was
for now.
he had his truck, he
No,
hauled
for
it.
now, but when she gets
And
back,
Jerry Grogan was there, Cal Mutzner, it was just a big
she's right
party.
now picking up
Yeah.
Raiden.
Anyways, Red.
Yeah, I've got some pictures of Big Red. We had a 1 log load. We went up on Sunday and dug a big pit, put a brow log on there, and Tom Martin was logging up on Dodge Ridge Road. He loaned me his rubber tired loader, and then I had a 977 there, so 2 loaders, and we dropped Dave's stakes and rolled that onto the truck. Couldn't lift it. It was so. The trailer weighed over 100,000 pounds. It peaked it. The scale wouldn't go any higher. The trailer, so that's how heavy that log was. We got an overweight and an overwidth permit to haul it. But he stopped for quite a few places and people wanted to take pictures. And he went very slow, but every time he hit a little bump in the highway, the dual wheels would bang together and smoke like crazy. That log was that heavy.
Yeah.
But anyhow, then Monday morning, the Forest Service came to work, and here's this ground right above all the cabins in Pinecrest, below Dodge Ridge Road is where the tree was. Big old ditch dug into their land with a brow log. Man, I got in trouble for that one. I guess I was supposed to ask permission to do.
Oh, sure. There's always that.
I know it.
Always gotta ask.
That's what
permission.
Canadian whiskey will do to you.
Jeez. Oh man. Did you stop drinking completely since '84?
Mhm.
You've been sober ever since?
Mhm.
A long time.
It
40
really
something
makes,
odd years.
yeah, really makes a difference. I'd be dead now.
Yeah.
So many of my friends ended up that way from alcohol.
Yeah.
So,
I hear my grandpa was a faller too, Craig's dad.
mhm.
And he was, I think, a faller all his life, other than World War II, running cats in World War II in the Pacific Islands.
Okay.
But for all I know about Crawford Rasmussen, that he was a faller his whole life,
Mhm.
and he was a drinker. I mean, pretty bad, I guess.
You know, a lot of times it goes with the territory.
Yeah.
It's such dangerous work, hard work. When you're done, a couple beers tastes good.
Seems like a generational thing too. Like a lot of the
It
older
could be.
generations drink a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
A lot of guys my age, we're not drinking anymore,
Mhm.
and it's not a big, bars aren't a big thing. Even though, you know, the veteran halls aren't as popping as they used to be.
Yeah. Well, look at all the bars that used to be in Tuolumne when the mill was open. There was like 2 on every street, it seems like.
Logging all through the 90s or what?
Yeah, I bought a self-loader.
Oh,
I had a couple of falling contracts. I had guys
Was
cut.
Earl Hitch around that time still?
Oh, yeah. I met Earl when I was 16. He just won a ski contest at Dodge Ridge.
Oh, yeah.
And my uncles knew him, John and Dave Carter. They were pretty good friends. Earl was working for Danny Conlon in those days, and his wife Marilyn was pregnant, like 9 months pregnant. She was on skis also.
Oh, God.
But Earl won this skiing contest, and all these young snow bunnies were around him because Earl was a real good-looking guy. And they were just falling in love with him, and his wife's back there, 9 months pregnant, just smiling away. She was so proud of him.
Yeah.
He would never cheat on Marilyn. He was a good guy.
Did he have the self-loader then too?
He did, yeah.
So he's pretty much self-loaded a lot
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
time.
Oh, no, not when I met him.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
he
not
worked for
when you
Danny Conlon. But you can only, I'm not gonna say that. Anyhow, he finally went on his own, got a self-loader, a couple little sawmills, and he did real well.
And so then in mid-80s, you decided to get a truck, and it was a self-loader too? Like,
Mhm.
right off the bat?
Earl was out, he had his short self-loader, yeah, he could haul 16s. Well, I guess he could haul a 20-foot log, but his was 16-foot bunks.
What about you?
I got a trailer on mine, so I could haul 32s, a regular load logs. And when I
Was
did,
there like a need? It was like when you got into it, like, I need to get a self-loader? 'Cause it's
Because-
not like normal, right?
I got a self-loader because I would see, like going along Highway 108, I'd see 4 or 5 dead bug trees over here, nice big timber. And then I'd see 6 or 8 up here. Rather than having a loader that went from place to place, I could just pull in along the highway and load. So I had a skidder in my self-loading truck, and it was neat. One winter we were in a drought, like pretty much like this winter, and they closed the gate at Snow Park. But I had a timber sale along Clark's Fork Road, anything that might hit the road, dead and dying trees. And I got a key from Caltrans. I went up every single day. My skidder was already up there on Clark's Fork Road. I had my dog and my chainsaw. Go up, unlock the gate, go in, get a load all together, load it on my truck, and come out, unlock the gate, and take it to the mill. I got it loaded a day by myself, and I loved it, Aaron. The only person up there, every morning there was frost and I could see where the animals were walking around. But you know, looking back on it now, what a dumb thing to do. Logging by yourself behind a locked gate.
Yeah.
You know,
It's falling timber
pretty-
too?
yeah, I did everything. Fallen, skid it, load it. It wasn't the brightest move, but I sure enjoyed it.
I mean, how I understood it, you get money at the mill for how many loads. That's why they're always trying to do 3 or 4 loads a day.
That's the way it's going now. In those days, I got paid by the 1,000 board feet. And that was usually around 500 feet if the logs were dead and light. So, like for Big Red, they gave me $200 per 1,000 board feet. And there were probably 10,000 board feet in that one tree. So that was, back in the 70s, that was a nice paycheck.
Yeah.
And now with the new owner, that's when Dick Pland ran that mill. Chris Conrad was the forester. I went in,
Mid-80s?
yeah.
Yeah.
I went into Pickering. I call it Pickering. I think it was Sierra. No, it wasn't Sierra Pacific.
Louisiana?
Louisiana or Fiberboard One. I think it was Louisiana Pacific. I went into that office. I got $86,000 from Dick Pland on a handshake. Didn't sign my name on anything to buy a timber sale. That's the way they ran things in those days. It's totally different than now.
Yeah.
Teddy Hahn has a real light log truck, and a few years back when he was still hauling, he got called into the office because he wasn't putting enough lumber, not enough weight on that truck. And he was a gyppo. You know, it was up to him, it was his truck. And then when they first took over, they could send, if you wanted, you know, maybe get 2 or 3 loads here, they could send you to who knows where to haul logs. And some, you wouldn't get home till the next day sometimes.
Yeah.
So it just really, the management was completely different than when it was in the eighties and when Dick Plan ran the thing. He was a good man.
I just recently come to know Dick Plan
Mm-hmm.
the past year or so because he donated $5,000 to the Lunar Jubilee
Mm-hmm.
for this year,
Mhm.
so thinking about inviting him down this next Jubilee.
Yeah, for sure.
And but I could tell from his writing he's shaking a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He'll go and sit in that office all day long.
Yeah.
Not do a thing, but just because he's that's in his blood.
Yeah.
You don't sit home and watch TV, you go to work every day.
Yeah.
That's Dick. Really nice person. He's responsible for the railroads being dismantled though. I love steam engines, that's the only thing. When he came in, Pendola came down and they had just bought Pickering. I think that may have been Fiberboard Company bought Pickering. Anyhow, Mr. Pendola was the one that's gonna run the whole place. And Dick was a forester in those days. He did a lot of work up at Soap Creek. That was pretty much the last of the big timber. And it was all coming down on rail to the mill. And he asked Dick, come and visit me. And he said, I got this on recording from Dick a few years back. And Dick said he invited me into the office and he said, if you were gonna run this place, what would you do? And Dick said, I'd shut the railroad down, I'd put those trucks on the highway, and I'd have all the logging done by jippos, no more company logging. And Dick said, I thought I was gonna get fired because I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks. Finally, on the 3rd week, he called me into the office and he said, do what you told me you were gonna do and you run the place. So that's how Dick got that job, superintendent of the mill. He had a good idea, saved that company a ton of money.
Yeah. And that's the hard thing, when you go from technology to technology.
Mm-hmm.
From just hand falling to the chainsaw, the old Paul Bunyan war,
Yeah.
to then it was like the war against the railroad and the logging truck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't even know what you call it now. I mean, logging pretty much dried up in the 2000s. It seemed like there was a handful of privately owned logging companies, and now
It's all company.
it's all mainly company with a few oddballs.
And because of all the environmental concerns of the 70s and 80s, logging went from selective logging to just that garbage.
Yeah.
30 and 40 logs on one truck. However, because of these fires recently, like Paradise, now the public's starting to wake up and they're realizing something needs to be done in that forest. We can't just go in and take these plantations out every 20 years. We gotta get some of that old growth out of there also.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
I forget who the forester I was talking to over here. It was because when I was going to Columbia College for forestry and natural resources, they had SBI. One of the foresters came in from SBI, older gentleman. Skips my name. Name skips me. I'm bad with names.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him telling me, we were talking about the spotted owl.
Mm-hmm.
That was really big in the 90s.
Yes, it
But
was.
after the fact, we realized, a lot of this clear cutting has actually helped the spotted owl because it gave them room to actually fly.
Yeah.
Look, Stanislaus forest has always been too thick.
Absolutely.
Just absolutely overgrown, too thick, crazy. Unlike El Dorado seems like it's really spaced out real nice. And I'm sure there was a lot of fires that had to do with a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But when they went and replanted, they spaced it out. Even the rimfire, all the planting they did out there, they didn't space it out again. It's all bunched up.
Like the Wrights Creek burn behind Long Barn, yeah, those trees can't grow properly. Well, they're been logged by now. That was clear back in the 50s. But yeah, that's what the thing was. They just planted them as close as they could. Yeah, it's crazy. And when they I hated cutting clear cuts. I hated the way it looked. And then they came in and they replanted it with pine instead of diversified cedar, pine, oak. But that gave the spotted owls hunting ground too. Because like you say, it's so thick. It is so thick, you can't find mice and squirrels and stuff in that to hunt. One thing, I never forget this. They said the spotted owls need old growth timber to nest in, as well as the goshawks. And the Union Democrat had an article where it showed a spotted owl nesting in a McDonald's sign.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. An old growth McDonald's sign.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It is.
I've heard it seems like the owls have come out. I don't know where you live down in Jamestown, but I live up here. I was out. I usually go outside at night before I go to bed.
Mhm.
The owls have been out this last week or two.
Cool.
Like I've heard them. They were loud the other night around my house, and then I was at the high school today this afternoon. I could hear the owls
Yeah.
down at the high school.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I've never really heard so many of them.
That's
recently.
neat. You know, and Aaron, there's no logger on this earth that wants to destroy a species of animals. You know, if we heard something gets hit in a tree, we'll take it home.
Yeah.
Take it home and nurse it back to health and then turn it loose if we can. So many loggers have done that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, loggers, they're the real environmentalists. They're the people that care. Their whole livelihood depends on it. We're not there to destroy things. We're there to.
Hey, Annie, if you want, you can go play VR for a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna let the boys play.
But
There was a logger, he worked on the railroad for West Side, and then he went into logging, falling timber for West Side, and his name was Jay Skinner. I'm not sure if he's still alive or not, but I have him recorded as well. And he said, boy, Allan, we made a mess in those days, those first few years of West Side. We didn't care, as long as we saved the timber, we'd take a whole stand of junk out, you know, young residual stuff, just to save a big pine. And that's the way they did it in those days. But he was complimenting the new procedures where we take care not to mess the forest up, and the lopping and scattering and things like that, the erosion control, things that they didn't do 100 years ago. So we will have a good forest for generation after generation.
we don't get enough credit for it.
No, we're still bad guys in a lot of people's minds. But like I said, that Paradise Fire woke a lot of people up.
I hope so. I mean, all these fires.
Yeah, all of them.
You always Paradise, and then you had the what was the one last year? It was horrible. It
Oh,
was the beginning of the year.
yeah.
It was Palisades.
Mm-hmm.
We've been having fires for many years, but it was until these massive fires that you have massive amounts of death and it's taking out the towns. Then everybody's kind of looking at it. But even then, I don't have no faith in the government
No.
to actually react appropriately. I mean, what's changed since the Palisade fire or Paradise fire? I mean,
A lot of talk.
Yeah, a lot of talk.
Yeah. A lot of committees have been set up. But you know, Aaron, 200 years ago, the forest burned all the time before man was even in it. The cattlemen, the Indians would actually set fires, as you know, and if it wasn't that, lightning kept it pinned down. How did those guys get covered wagons through the forest, 300 years ago?
I'm gonna go
200?
let her play for half an
Because
hour,
it
and then
was
you guys
open.
can go do
It
VR, okay?
burned all the time and got rid of all that brush and junk. So if we don't let it burn, put the fires out, we gotta take care of the brush and the junk and the overgrowth by logging it.
I think I'm probably gonna say it wrong, that sticker. So like, graze it, log it, or lose it. No, it's like graze it, log it, and let it burn. Like
Or let it burn,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
gotta have all
yep.
of it. It's not.
I've got that on my pickup.
Yeah.
Locomotive you're gonna ride on, I robbed it when I was, I think, 7 or 8. We had our bandanas and our 6-shooters, and we're hiding, in those days, right inside the mill yard was all this stacked lumber. And this little heistler would go back and forth with lumber or oil, whatever was needed. It was switching boxcars.
Yeah.
And we're hiding behind, we had this 2x4 and our bandanas on and our cap guns. And as soon as we heard it coming, I was gonna throw the 2x4 on the tracks and go rob them. Well, it came from behind us,
Yeah.
and it stopped, and it could, one whistle, and we turned around, there it is behind us, and the engineer's just laughing like crazy. So we turned around real quick and put the 2x4 across the tracks, even though they were stopped,
Yeah.
and went up with our little cap guns, and I think we got a nickel each. That there was an engineer and a fireman in that locomotive, and they were laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Just about the time we got paid off, the watchman showed up, and boy, were we in trouble. He rode around in a 1941 Chevy pickup, gray Chevy pickup. That was the watchman's rig, and you had to run from the watchman.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a sawmill right behind your house. naturally kids are gonna wanna go in and explore.
Oh, yeah. A lot of fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. And just to try and outrun the watchman was fun.
Keep him on his toes.
Yeah, the mill yard was full of cattle to keep the grass down for fire protection. So wherever there was a fence, they would build these steps over one, down the other side. So all the guys walking into work, you didn't have to go through barbed wire, you just walk over the fence. So you could get in and out of that mill easy. And the watchman had to stop as soon as he got to the gate, it was locked, so he couldn't chase us. But he knew Dave Spinetto, he knew Bobby, so we got in trouble when Bobby got home. Crazy. The good old days. Like I said, the stuff was so fun, there was no ocean. You could ride in the back of your dad's pickup, no one cared. No seatbelts, nothing.
Although I remember one time, my dad, we went out cutting the wood and tree blocks for the fireplace and stuff. So we had a half-ton pickup, and we had it all loaded up with wood, and then I'm sitting on top of the wood, and it's the cab,
Oh,
That
yeah.
wind was kicking up when I was coming down the freeway. I got a bunch of sawdust in my eyes. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That hurt. I was like, I hurt for a week from all that getting in my eye.